when people say give yourself grace, you're only human, the part that I feel like they don't talk about enough is how that actually helps you on your next action, right? Like how that actually helps you be better. And I say this because I know a large part of my audience on these worldwide webs are young males, men my age, and even older men. I know there's a lot of women following me too, but I know that that's a large part of my audience, right? And I know that for some of us, maybe because of the society that we live in or how our brain is wired, sometimes we look at sympathy, we look at being gentle as something that's not necessarily helpful towards action, right? Not necessarily helpful towards improving ourselves. And that's a large part of how men are, sort of trained to think, right? It's all about that next piece of action, that next actionable thing that you got to be better, right? And so when you hear people say, hey, be kind to yourself, you're only human, you might go, oh, that's a waste of my time, but it's not. And I will elaborate just a little bit more. You keep doing something. Let's use an example. Let's use money. Let's use money. You keep realizing you are terrible with money. Like, oh man, every time I do this, I'm wasting my bread. Like, what's going on? And for a lot of people, right, particularly men, but for a lot of people, your brain is trained to go, well, develop a plan, find something, make it work because you suck at this. You're just not good at it. Or maybe even the gym, right? I keep failing at the gym. Like I keep losing I'm not consistent. So you keep hammering away. Sometimes you do the same thing, expecting different results, right? Sometimes you come up with new plans, but they, for whatever reason, also don't work or they seem flawed as well. And then I've noticed when you take a second and go, wait a minute, I'm only human. Let me give myself a little bit of grace. You start being able to sort of compartmentalize why you're making the mistakes that you're making. And you start realizing they're human ass mistakes. They're human ass habits. They're things that you're prone to do the way your brain is wired. When you start looking at other humans, right? When you give them grace, you're like, oh, we are living in a capitalistic ass society that, that it implores you to just spend every day. And you're like, man, I'm only human. So I know I'm susceptible to that. Like, what do how do I counter that now? And it's easier for you to formulate a plan. Maybe, you start realizing, okay, if I'm, prone to spending money as soon as I get it, what about I make sure something simple as like something basic that other people do. When I get paid, the first thing I do is pay my bills. If I'm doing gig work and I get my money, like the first thing I do once I get that gig work money at the end of the day is take something and put it towards that savings goal or something, or put it towards a bill daily, whatever. If I'm, maybe I'm prone to impulsive decisions, right? That's that. And the next thing, the gym, you start looking at other people like, oh, they're human. We live in a society where it's just nothing but sugar put in front of you. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I know I have sugar cravings. I'm different from my ancestors. Like, yo, like, what's the best way to counter that? Oh, I know I'm human. Like, I'm gonna want sugar. Can I get the most calorie friendly snacks? Rather than what you've been doing before, like, yo, I gotta fight this. You start realizing, like, yo, I'm human. So accepting that you're human, helping your next course of action. That makes sense? All right, cool.